When I was somewhere in elementary school, I remember it was after bedtime. I was a little bit nervous about something, and I really wanted to go upstairs and talk to my mom about it. Everyone else was in bed, and I don't exactly remember how old I was, but I went upstairs, and I really concerned, and I went and I talked to my mom, and I asked her, how do I know if I am going to go to heaven or to hell? And I was really scared, and I had been thinking about it for hours and didn't really understand what it was going to take to ensure that I was going to end up in heaven with Jesus. We didn't really go to church too often when I was little, so I didn't really understand a lot of the things that was going on in the Bible. My dad would read the Bible to us, but we would usually just play on the floor. I had 4 sisters, and I was one of the youngest, so I was usually allowed to just color on the floor while my dad read to us. And so I felt like I really wanted to know what I needed to do, but I didn't want to ask in front of everyone. So I asked my mom, and she opened up the Bible, and she turned it to Romans 9, I believe, and it said, if you believe in Jesus is Lord, I don't remember the exact verse, but if you believe in Jesus and you speak it, then you will be saved. And so I looked at my mom and I said, well, I believe in Jesus. And she's like, that's all it takes. Now you get to go to heaven. You believe you want him to live in your heart, so ask him to live in your heart. And so I asked right then with my mom. I didn't really feel a big change. I guess I expected, to feel him right there at that moment. But I instantly was rushed with more questions. Now I'm saved, but what about everybody else? And I was really concerned with everyone else in the world. And I wondered, I asked my mom, I said, okay, so you're showing me this, and you're showing me these verses in the Bible, and now I've confessed that I believe Jesus is Lord. I believe he lives in my heart now, but what about everybody else? What about the people who have never heard of Jesus? What about people in far ends of the earth? What about the people before Jesus existed? What about everybody else? What about the other religions? People who believe in God but don't trust Jesus. And I was really confused, and I just started, coming at her with all these questions, and she honestly didn't really know how to answer. She did the best she could, and she said, people who don't know God, God gives them away. She said, for most religions, it doesn't really matter. If you believe in God, you still get to go to heaven, regardless of however it is. And at that time, that answer didn't really sit well with me. I thought, well, if you believe in God, but the Bible verse said Jesus, what's the difference? And if I had to say it out loud that I believed in him, but these other people are believing in other gods and didn't even know about Jesus, how were they going to get to heaven too? She just gave me a nice blanket answer to maybe make me feel better, but it didn't sit well at that time. And so it took many, many years for me to figure out the right answer. It took a lot of praying, a lot of reading in the Bible, and a lot of coming to church and learning lots of different things before I realized that Jesus is the only way. And he leaves a lot of it up to us to share our faith with the people everywhere around the world, with the people right next to us, with people in our family. And it's up to us. And then today in church, Pastor Joey said, anyone who seeks him, anyone who seeks Jesus will find him. So now I wonder if some of these people who have never heard of Jesus, who don't have access to TV or news or things like that, still have that desire to know him just naturally in their hearts. So I imagine that even if nobody reaches some of those people, hopefully they still make their way to heaven, with that desire being just naturally built in. God made us. We're connected to him whether we want to admit it or not. I find comfort in knowing that, and I feel a very strong desire to help reach other people and talk to them, which is very out of my comfort zone. I don't know why, but sharing how I feel about God and the love that I share with him and our relationship is not something that comes easy to me. When I was growing up, after I had surrendered my life to Jesus, and I knew that I wanted to live the life that he wanted for me, no matter what things I went through, no matter what struggles I went through, there was a peace that I had. I always knew that we were going to come out on the other side. I always know to this day that no matter what struggles I'm given, I have a peace about it. The uncertainty, not knowing what's coming next, not knowing what bad things are coming at us, is so much easier with that peace and knowing that Jesus is in control. He is the one who has a plan for our lives. And I don't have to worry about making sure that this works and this works if I give it to him. And I can just say, this is way too hard for me. I don't want to deal with this right now. I'm just going to give it to you. And he takes that burden and he takes that stress away. And it is so difficult for me to look at somebody who hasn't been able to give that away, who hasn't been able to just release that stress and to put it on him. So many people want to take on those burdens on their own. They want to handle it and they want to be in control, and that is so stressful, and it is difficult to watch. So if I were to talk to somebody, I would want to say, you don't need that stress. That stress is too much for you. You can't handle it, and you can't do it on your own. So you need Jesus, and you need to let it go. It's so much more peaceful, and it's easy. It seems really hard because we're here right now living our lives. It seems really hard, but once you do it and you surrender, everything just falls into place. It's a strange thing to say, but it's true. It's real.